I'm a hustler.
You have a unique story from the music industry, getting into the sports industry.
You know, it's Texas, so we don't talk fast. We talk slow. Look, I'm coming to him with these watches I ain't never seen. I took my first loss.
On this broken road, you gotta be willing to build a street of gold. But you know a loss ain't nothing but a lesson to a boss.
Yo, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Lessons Not Losses. Man, we've been having so much fun. We've been on a roll. I'm your co-host, Jessica Myers. Never take the L. And today we have our co-host,
Hakeem Herring, your real estate partner.
and
You got Dre Parker, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop Dre today, you know?
Uh-oh.
Like last time you had Disco Dre, you got hip hop Dre today.
Let's go.
But listen, we talking about big things on this show, right?
Yes, indeed.
yeah.
Well, the guy that we got coming on is from one of the biggest states, right? Texas, right? The biggest, the baddest, right? 25 years of leadership experience across different industries.
Mm-hmm.
He's in sports and entertainment, right?
Okay.
He's a big-time investor, venture capitalist.
Love those.
Yeah,
Yes.
you love those, right? Right. And just the all-around driven guy working with, collegiate and professional athletes. No other than my guy, you know what I'm saying? I work out with him in the gym, but I don't do the same weight that he does. You know what I'm saying?
I was like, y'all go to the same gym?
Yeah. Obviously not. My man DeShawn Marks, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing?
How you
Yes,
feeling?
Good.
welcome.
I'm outstanding as always.
Yeah. See
Yeah.
how cool he is?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He just laid back and relaxed.
Well, yeah, we try to, when I come in, we try to make sure it gets at least 10 degrees cooler.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
At least 10
Set
degrees
the temperature.
That's how you
Absolutely.
can tell an entrepreneur who be doing the mental work because they come in cool, calm. You don't see what all probably the craziness that I've been to get them here today.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
fact.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Oh, yeah.
fact.
Yeah. So I mentioned you from Texas, right? To tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Man, I come from humble upbringings. Texas, coming up in the 80s and 90s, during the time and period that I came up through, it was still a little bit of gangland. Color still mattered.
Mm-hmm.
You had to kind of always, make sure you was based on where you were from, making sure you were on a state where you were from in that side of town. You didn't want to venture too off. But I love it. I love my humble beginnings and coming up that way is because when I got to Atlanta, I felt like y'all had too much. Y'all ain't from here,
Yeah.
but y'all live
I'm
here.
from here.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's
you
from-
from
I'm
here?
born and raised
Yeah.
in
Oh,
the city, in the
great.
perimeter.
Oh, Grady baby.
Grady baby.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Crawford,
Crawford.
Yeah.
Oh, so,
Grady
so,
from
so,
there.
so
Yeah.
wait, no. She don't count. Crawford loans don't
I was
count.
born at Grady.
It's Grady or that's it. You know what
My
I'm saying?
mom got insurance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
But,
she
you know.
from the good side.
So they was doing too much, you said?
Well, it wasn't. It was doing too much. It was just that when you from a city like Texas and from a smaller town that I'm from, and I got here in '99, and I said, "Oh, this is gonna be food. I'm gonna take over the city." I'm literally not joking. That was my thought process because I come from nothing.
Yeah.
Started in the projects, moved out the projects to this. So this seemed like it was so much. It seemed like food to be taken,
Okay.
but
I
not,
got you.
The land of
New York way.
It was the land of opportunity.
The land of opportunity.
The land of opportunity.
That's how those
Yeah.
New Yorkers come down here. They're
Yeah.
like, we about to take over.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Texas feel the
Well,
same
you
way.
drive.
But no, but
Well,
that's a
it's
good
a
thing
different
about Atlanta, though.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's a different takeover.
That's a good thing about Atlanta.
I was like, I will say, growing up down the street, because I grew up down across from Andrew Young, Shirley Franklin, a lot of mayoral leaders. We've been seeing Black leadership. So I will say
agree.
we've
Yeah.
been spoiled in that sense
Yeah.
of the world was open. I mean, you got Martin Luther King, global leaders
That's a fact.
were right down the street. And so we felt there was nothing we couldn't do.
His own home, his church.
Yeah.
I mean, what Atlanta's on like I might be wrong. Somebody in the comments check me like a 30-year run of Black mayors or something like that.
Mhm.
No, that's
Since
Consistently.
Maynard Jackson.
Yeah, since Maynard, consistently. So, coming from a state like Texas to where only people I saw Black was they wasn't doing it the right way or they were doing it through sports.
Yeah.
To come here to see truly what we're known for as today, Black excellence
Yeah.
on every level.
I like how you said we. We love you. We'll let
Yeah,
you.
we here. Black excellence on every level. That did something. That
Yeah.
did something. And then coming from Texas, from what I saw, I knew it. I knew it was just a matter of time, because I just felt like it was just so much opportunity.
So how do we build these epicenters in other cities? Because I mean, I might as well be an ambassador for Atlanta because I love telling everybody about the richness and the vastness. But I feel like we can take the same essence to other ancillary cities.
To a degree, and not you got to look at how Atlanta was truly established, right? So you have the South, which is when you go back in time, you see the culmination of the South was traditionally where a lot of blacks came through. But what happened to the emergence of Atlanta, of how it became that way, was the freeways. It was 85. So it was a simple fact that you had to pass through Atlanta due to the freeway structure to get to other parts of the country. So nowadays, now that we're in 2025, that how we establish these other meccas in other cities, it's got to be more than just, it's not about hubs and what you can bring. It's more of how do you get people there, the infrastructure, and then how do you contain them and keep them. We're seeing an exodus of California due to various reasons. You know, the cost of living, state taxes. Those people got to go somewhere. And when you look at that, you could create there could be another Atlanta, but it's gonna be really, really hard.
Atlanta's a unique place, a unique place altogether. If you take it back to '99, right? Stepping into Atlanta, we're going back, right? What was it like, when you seen the land of opportunity? What was it like on your path to success? And what was some of those moves you made or connections? If you had to go back to it, like,
because they just ended Freaknik, so
exactly, exactly, it was like,
it was sprinkling.
He was down here when it was.
I was excited.
Lit.
It was
I came down in 2000, so I just missed it.
Ray got here in '97.
Exactly, right?
He went straight to Freaknik.
Right.
He went straight to it.
We're gonna cut that part out, Dre.
We ain't cutting nothing
Did you make
out.
the documentary? Okay.
Exactly. You look close, you know what I mean?
He tried, but light-skinned brothers with green eyes just don't seem to bell well on Freaknik documentary.
Hilarious.
That part. So, but that's a great question.
Yeah.
I never really looked at it because I started to think about what I sort of thought from what started to kind of feed that mindset that I was sort of creating. But then it was a sort of things. And what I would say to that was, I got here and I just started doing a bunch of different things, man. I remember, I think one of the first hustles that was legit, legal, legal hustle. It was, I met a guy and he was like, this is finna sound real corny. He was like, hey man, I got a way to make some money. Let's sell some cutlery. It was through Cutco.
Nice. You're door knocking?
I was door knocking.
You was cutting the penny?
Yeah, I was cutting the penny. I was doing everything.
They cut pennies?
You know what's crazy?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm gonna tell y'all something. That was 99. It's 26 years ago. I still own one Cutco knife. That's still one of my sharpest knives.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
26 years
it
later.
really works.
In my dresser.
So it really worked. It
really works.
It really does.
But to your answer your question directly, I just started to get ingrained in things. What started out selling Cutco, that didn't work for me.
But it taught you something.
Well, it taught me, you coming from Texas, coming from a smaller town, coming from the hustle and the struggle. I already knew I knew how to hustle because I was hustling there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a question if I knew how to hustle. It was just a question of limited opportunities of what the hustle meant and where I was from to now in Atlanta.
Yeah.
When I got here, the hustle changed. You didn't have to just do all these crazy things. You can now do legal hustle.
Legit.
Right.
Yeah, and illegal. So that started to develop that mindset of Cutco didn't work, and I was just one of them weird enoughs that I just jumped into the next thing.
Yeah.
What was the next thing?
It went from Cutco to, then you start asking people about what are the good jobs, what are the good jobs to get? And I was hearing 2 jobs. I was hearing you got to get on that craft. They're AT&T now, but it was called Bell South. You got to get on that Bell South. You would hear these jobs that black people around Atlanta was telling you, these are the career jobs to get. It went from that to selling lawn care services from door to door. I can't even, I was trying so much stuff.
Yeah.
It was just one thing after the other, but I was gaining experiences.
Yeah.
How young were you?
I got here, I was 18.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
Yeah, I was 18. I had to think.
Yeah.
I was 18.
Yeah, we have to go back sometime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when on your journey, when did that aha moment hit you? Like, I found my stride. Like, I found what I wanted to do. Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs and being a serial entrepreneur, and being in a city like Atlanta where all things are possible, you could wake up and say, hey, I want to be a car dealer and move in that direction. Or I could wake up and say, I want to do X and move in that direction. But it takes a little bit to get your stride.
Yeah.
Like, when was that aha moment on your path to success?
So I actually was a car salesman.
There you go.
At 20.
Uh-huh.
So that aha moment came in different levels because
Okay.
my path, my road to here,
Yeah.
from there, there was a lot of aha moments. So my first other passion outside of sports was music.
Okay.
You know, so during that time, Atlanta still had a
Yeah, I was
strong
like,
music
Atlanta was a
scene.
huge-
Yeah. So I developed another passion in music, and that was my first aha moment because that passion led to a record deal.
Oh no.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So even though we didn't pan out, we didn't come what we thought we were going to be, still landed a deal.
Yeah.
It was through a four-way joint venture, and I thought it expanded my mind even further because amongst that deal, you're still able to meet and see other successful people.
Yeah.
You know, not just fame. So when you're able to see things that are out of reach to you,
Exposure.
exactly, and then there's expansion.
Yeah.
You know, so not only are you exposed to it, because the exposure can only come to the very end of the level you're able to experience it, but the expansion comes immediately when you see it.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When I learned that, especially from a real estate game,
Mm-hmm.
when I traveled to Dubai. Because one of the things that, for one, I always tell people the county, they build on a 10-year plan. They build on a 1,000-year plan.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Like they building, the tallest building in the world, still building.
Yeah.
And they got 50% occupancy. And they're like, oh, we on a 1,000-year plan. We don't care about what it look like now.
Yeah.
Correct.
Wow.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And funny thing about Dubai, just a crazy fun fact is, they're building so much around the world. They're building so much past everyone in the world. Is they're the number one place for cranes. There are more cranes in Dubai than there is anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how much they're building. So I want you to just conceptualize that in your mind.
But because they own a whole
Anywhere
nother
in the world,
Yeah.
there's more cranes.
And people
there.
scared to build a single family home. I'm like, they building cranes in the sky.
Oh yeah.
Cranes in the sky. Yeah, right. Real talk. Wow. So music didn't pan out like you wanted to. What was the next thing for you?
So music didn't pan out, but it just didn't immediately fail. You know, I'll be honest with you. When you sign to a deal, you're contractually signed. So there was a lot of things going on around that, you know, because when immediately you sign, people think a deal means money,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it don't. So you know, you still got to live your life. And then the next thing came from that, because I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, you used the word earlier, and I never really looked at myself as like that until I started to hear it when I became grown. Because coming up doing it, I didn't know I was. I mean, my wife who's in the studio now, she'll probably say something different.
Yeah.
You know, I truly was a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But it wasn't from a space of because you got some interesting entrepreneurs out there. You got the entrepreneur type to be like, oh, I hate corporate America. You know, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur and this and then I hate my job. That was never really me. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the others that were more that kind of what I said was I didn't know any other way to be.
Yeah. It was the
You know, because it was
brain
just
hustle.
it was just who I was.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't some image I was putting on. It wasn't predicated on something going on in my life or a job that I hate. That's just what I was.
next move.
It was
Yeah.
the next move.
Yeah.
And she would even tell you, I mean, every single venture that I started, I thought it was gonna be the one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the 400 that I went to, at one point, my wife was collecting my cards from not only all the jobs that I had, every business that I had, it to a stack look like this. Look like my books that I bought. You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
Because it was always another venture, and then I'm coming in, yo, this the one.
Yeah.
It's the one that's gonna take us out.
Yeah.
But I'm not just giving you the game speech.
Right.
You know, like I'm the Falcons head coach. I'm literally like, yo, this is it.
Yeah.
It's gonna set us off.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you got enough money to go buy a house now? No. We're not gonna buy a house this time, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy another business. Another one?
Yeah.
So it became, and when you don't know you crazy, you look crazy to everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially on this road to being an entrepreneur.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
My wife
You know,
think I'm crazy.
Nah,
Because
Yeah,
that's
you
what I was
touched on
going to
it.
ask. Like,
You
what is
touched
your
on that.
community saying? Like, when, especially, because to me, I look at it as sales. Like, that's all that spoke to me because I started my career in sales in corporate. So it's just sales translates to these hustler type deals. But what does your community think? Like, how did you balance that? Because if everybody think you're crazy, but you're like, I'm on to the 450 first.
Yeah.
Well, this is what lessons not losses, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So and y'all keep it real.
Oh,
on that,
Yes,
right?
we-
let's keep it real. Keep it
1,000.
some real.
So you gotta understand, as we were kind of going through my journey of when we were here, how I got here. I told y'all one thing was I was a hustler,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was a real hustler. And see what you got out here right now, not even in Atlanta, across the world, you got people who are hustlers posing as entrepreneurs. Because see, because see, let me tell y'all something about being an entrepreneur. Everyone in this studio and everyone listening, anybody can say, yo, I'm an entrepreneur, and you don't need no college education or no proof to do it. You can just say you are.
That's true.
So you don't got to prove nothing. You don't got to go show your bank account. You could just say I'm an entrepreneur. And it means something to some people. So you got to remember, I was a hustler first. What I mean from that, to even be more truthful, in Texas, I started selling watches at 13. You got to go. This is y'all got to go back in time. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 43.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. I'm only
Look
43
at
now.
that. See?
So it's not that much time. During this time, I was selling counterfeit watches. They were hard to get coming from New York. As you know.
Okay.
Canal
yeah.
Street?
Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
Canal
Canal
Street.
Street?
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
this
get
is-
it out.
I don't know what in New York.
Yeah, yeah,
I know
can-
my connect was
yeah,
from New York.
yeah.
They came down to Texas. You know
Canal
New York
Street
because y'all
special.
think.
Yeah.
Real
you
talk.
know.
Yeah.
I was
So-
like, we had to go tuck under the back room.
You're right. We talking about the early '90s, maybe. Yeah. 'Cause I don't think I was 13 in the late '80s. So this
Yeah.
is the early '90s.
Early 90s.
You're talking about a time. Now this is hard to remember. Where there wasn't internet.
Yeah.
You didn't know there wasn't many counterfeit stores. We had our bazaars and boutique, and that was like one. We had like T Bazaar, and that, you had like maybe one. So counterfeit wasn't easy to get.
Yeah.
Where I'm
T
going
new.
with this, exactly. Where I'm going, none of that.
Yeah.
So I was going around, going in it. Started out at 13. Even truthful. You know what I'm saying? Because this is lessons, not losses. I met my guy, and this is a true story, y'all. He tells me. He gives me a case of watches. He gave me 30. I still remember the account. 30. My older brother, who's my oldest brother, he put me on. He just came and was like, yo, to be honest with y'all, they was going to do a gun run. And my brother was like, nah, I ain't going to. He thought about doing it. But he says, nah, you need to talk to my little brother. And I always ask him, how did you know I would be good at doing this? He was like, you was just different from us. So he take me to his people's house. The dude give me 30 watches. He says, this is what I'm going to do. This is called fronting. He says, I'm going to front you these 30 watches. It means you don't got to give me no money. He says, now, I want you to go to the street and sell them for 15. You keep 5, and you give me back 10. So I literally did that. It took me like 2 weeks to sell the 30 watches. I literally did what he said. I kept 5, sold 10. Any of y'all mathematicians in here, y'all know how much money? Y'all know how much that is?
You said you kept 5.
Well, I kept 5. I said 30 watches.
Yeah.
So
All right.
150.
50.
Yeah, that I sold for,
You made 150.
absolutely. Yeah, so I made 150
At
right?
13.
At 13,
Yeah.
$150.
You're rich.
Yeah. Good money.
I wasn't rich, but check this out.
Well, I mean, 13.
13, I was feeling good, but check this out. This is what really happened. He gave me the next 30. I went home and said, why do I gotta go sell these watches? I'm 13, y'all. Why do I gotta sell these watches and give him 10 and I keep 15?
5.
I said, excuse me, yeah, you're right. And I keep 5. I said, I'm gonna go sell them for 25 a watch.
Yeah.
Pay him 10, and I keep 15. Because he just told me just bring him $10 a watch.
Yeah.
Which off of 30 watches, I just gotta bring him $300 every single time. So I went and sold those watches for 25, paid him 300.
So you made your 15.
I brought him back, he gave me 30 more.
Ooh.
I'm
Come on.
13, y'all.
Yeah.
I say, well, shoot, I can sell them for 25.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my
I'm
goodness.
a hustler.
Either
You
I
know
can
what I'm
sell
saying?
it for 30.
No, I went to 50, big
Oh, you
guy.
went to. You was selling. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm on the
went
college
straight New York
campus.
on them.
I go get fly. I'm on the college campus. I'm in there walking around campus. They was like, yo, that's little shorty the watch dude. Keep him watching. I see a couple walking
Did
up.
you open up the jacket?
I didn't have a jacket. I had a leather billfold.
Yeah.
If we gonna keep it a buck, I had a leather billfold. So I would open up the leather billfold. And then we wasn't, it's Texas, so we don't talk fast. We talk slow. Look, I got these. I'm throwing on, I call it $1 million smile. I'm smiling. And I went to couples because I'm 13, 14.
Because you know the guy gonna try to press the girl.
I'm 13, figured that out.
Yeah.
So I'm coming to him with these watches. I ain't never seen them. I'm flashing them. I got some, frosting now. But, back then, we, this and this and that. And I had my first crazy moment. I took my first loss. I was selling a watch Now, because I already know I can get them off for 50.
Yeah.
Now I know I got to bring my people back 300. They ain't really my people, my 300. So I'm talking to this couple. It's white guy ain't growing on college campus. I'm in a blue. I still remember my outfit: blue jean vest, white tee, and blue jean shorts. I'm talking fast on the campus, just moving through. And he's trying, and I make people try on the watches because I just knew, you got to touch it and feel it.
Yeah.
So when he's trying on a watch, he go to take it off. The watch fall and explode right after he paid me.
Oh, wow.
So I got $100. The watch just exploded because I never
You
told.
like literally like boom.
Boosh! He dropped it on the ground. Boom! Not like like a bomb,
shot
but
it,
just all the pieces went
Oh,
everywhere.
okay.
Because anybody I sold the watch to, I never told them they were fake.
Mm.
I mean, you're a hustler. I'm a hustler. I'm not finna tell you I'm selling the Fugazi.
The Fugazi.
I know with the price.
Yeah.
People are they think that people are just weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of like right now when you get a call from the scam, your grandmother, you'd be like, somebody, I just got a call and they said that I can make it that, and you send them, and you be like, why would you believe it? People fall for anything.
That's
so
true.
I never told them they were fake. I never told them, and I never said they were real. I just said I'm selling watches, and these are the tag art. So the watch explodes. At that moment, I'm thinking he either finna fight, and I got to fight this college student, or I'm a jet. To run. You know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking, and you got to think fast in these situations. So I'm thinking either which way is probably not going to allow me back on this campus. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody know me as a little dude slinging them watches. You know what I'm saying? So I stay, and I tell him I started thinking on my feet.
Defect.
Exactly. I tell him, I say, that one was just a bad one, but I'm gonna come back next week and replace your watch. I came back next week, but I ain't come back with no replacement. That way there was no problem.
Upsold.
Yeah.
I upsold him without upselling him.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was the first loss I took on the feet. The first real loss was my dumb butt. See, when you're a hustler and not really an established entrepreneur, greed kicks in.
Yeah.
And greed has no age.
Yeah.
Whether I was 13, 14, or 40, 43 as I am now.
Yeah.
So now I know I can sell watches. So now the years progress. Now I'm 16.
Yeah.
I already know I'm the man. Everybody in the city know I'm the watch guy. You know what I'm saying? So I already got people coming all over. Matter of fact, now I got 2 plugs. I got a plug that I've always been dealing with.
Yeah, you should have got rid of him if it done dropped and exploded.
I couldn't. No, because see, his price was too good. I was grandfathered in with him. I was grandfathered in with him, and they can keep coming.
Yeah.
My mind thinks in expansion. So. But we get into a loss here too, So my mind thinks in expansion. I go get somebody else. There's really no competition. I see a little bit more of those bazaars kind of popping up, but nobody was really still. This the '90s early. Nobody was really still, selling these fake watches like that. It was always counterfeit clothes and all that type of stuff that's been going around forever. So I got the prices up to wherever I got them. I don't think I could ever really get over like $55, just being real with y'all. I don't think no one would ever could get over that. So I kind of,
I'm paying for the real.
I got to the wall fast. You know what I'm saying? Like I hit the wall kind of fast in my street prices. So now I'm 15 or 16 at this age. I count my first 1,000. I'm on the bed. And when you that age, $1,000 felt like
it's hitting.
That sounds like rich.
That's when I felt rich. I didn't feel rich on that 150. But I counted that 1,000 probably like. I swear to God, I probably counted that bad boy one night at least 32 times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Counting it all night, feeling rich.
That's when he was addicted.
Yeah, but see, greed, like I told you, when you're a hustler and not an entrepreneur, greed kicks in.
Yeah.
Because did your suppliers ever find out?
Oh, this is where they're going to the real life.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I say, man, I ain't paying my plug.
Uh-oh.
I'm the man.
Yeah.
A little bigger now. You feel me?
He
Got a little name.
Franklin.
Yeah, I turned into Franklin. For some dumb reason, I got thousands of dollars, and I'm saying, man, I'm not paying him. I'm keeping this money. So,
and it was just a couple hundred.
Nah, at this time, because even I'm not selling 30 no more. So I don't remember what the count was, but I knew I had thousands. So I'm past 30s. 30s was when I was 13. We done escalated past that. You know what I'm saying? So now I got a real number, and I got so cold with it. They giving me off of strength, off of just whatever I asked for, because they real hustlers, so they know you never the guy that can move product. You got to keep them happy.
Yeah.
So it don't matter if I had enough money to buy my rib. They're going to give me whatever number I ask for. So at this age, I'm 15 and 16. I got thousands.
Yeah.
You know, now. So I'm sitting up in my room one night, say, man, I ain't paying these fools, because I don't know how we can say on there. I ain't paying these fools.
We can beep it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this money, and I keep the money.
But you know, learn the hard way.
When the greed kick in, you only thinking about that little money you got in front of you. I'm not even really thinking about no consequences, what this come with, what I'm doing. They start kind of look for me. And then my mind didn't even think, because I'm thinking, I'm gonna be good with this other plug. So then I do the next dumb thing. I burn my new plug.
Man.
Oh, man.
So I burned the old plug, who I've been with for years. I burned the new plug, saying I'm keeping all the money. You know what I'm saying? I want a gold chain, because I always been frosty. I always wanted a chain and a watch. You know what I'm saying? So I want things now. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds like, what'd you have to buy at 16 that you couldn't pay off?
It's
Greed.
Were you paying mortgage?
Greed. No, not even paying mortgage. It's just greed. Like I say, when you hustling, greed will overtake you. So I take that loss. They come looking for me. My pops, who just for some strange reason, he just kind of always kept his ear to the street. You know, and he come home one day early, you know, after sports, and he called me, and y'all know your parents' action. You know, when they do a certain thing, when you know they finna talk to you. So he come in, and he said, yeah, I heard what you did. He said, yeah, you left them boys with that tab, 'cause on the streets. He knew it wasn't drugs, so you know, I'm thinking it's just watches. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, he paid both of my debts to both of the people that I own, to both plugs.
I got you.
But then
And
I
he
was
owned you.
then I was indebted to him.
Yeah.
The pops.
And Pops was a little different.
Yeah.
Pops was a little different. And taking that loss, I never factored in, man, I had a good thing going. I could have rode this until I went off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And being indebted to him, it just wasn't. When you're indebted to your parents, it ain't, because they don't forget nothing.
Yeah.
So they gonna remind you every day.
And you gotta own up.
You know what I'm saying? Then he looking at me with disgust. You know what I'm saying?
like this is my child.
Yeah, like you smarter than that. He was like, you obviously smart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, you dumb.
Yeah.
You know, and he was just like, why you didn't pay him? You got the money. Y'all wanna know something even more crazy?
You still didn't get the lesson.
Nah, I had the money when he came in. I just really didn't spend that. I never really spent money like that.
Yeah.
So literally, when my pops paid me, I literally had the money. But my dumb butt was greedy. You know what I'm saying? So I thought I didn't get the lesson of that was gonna, build me into the man I was today. But I learned the lesson, but it wasn't that lesson, because I was still caught up on being a hustler.
Right. So think about it like this. Yeah. Our actions, like even when we're young, sometimes those habits, those things translate into our adult life, right? Did you find yourself as an investor, let's talk about the investment side, as an investor or a venture capitalist, do you find that greed sometimes creeps in? Because sometimes it could be human nature to be greedy, right? We talking about $1,000 then, like any lessons that you've learned along the way as an investor?
Plenty. And greed set in there. About a couple of years ago, you had crypto kind of taking off. And when I mean taking off, it's always been taking off. But it was sort of moving to where you started hearing if they're going to regulate it. And there was this term, I'm not familiar if y'all familiar with it. When a few years ago when crypto was booming, there was this term called DeFi, which is different from crypto. So as an investor, now I got a different level of money, because now I'm on the other side of success in a bunch of different ventures. So I get into DeFi, to your point, to where, I wasn't no longer hustling, but I didn't learn the lesson of I didn't really beat greed. So, and I started doing DeFi, and this is almost embarrassing to say. My wife and she don't even know it. So I I start
right.
decentralized financing. There was when you get into DeFi, and I'm trying to figure out how to dance it up, and not without dancing it up. I'm trying to keep it real in the same standpoint. Now the numbers change because I learned in DeFi. I mean, now I can make 15. I'm making 15, 20, $30,000 in a day, not in a week, not in no month, in a day. But you gotta watch fast money, man. Fast money is close to drug and street money. Now, mind this
Come fast and go
come fast.
quick. Yeah.
Now
Right.
this is all legal stuff. Now what I'm saying, so this is not, but you still have the principles of an old hustler. So this money's coming so fast. As it's coming so fast, that greed come back. So I started saying,
down.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So then I started going. I'm like, man, shoot, if I'm making this,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make 100,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Greed, thinking I'm capable. End up taking some major L's that not where end up taking some major L's, and DeFi came and went. If y'all not hip, y'all Google it. Listeners, DeFi it's still here, but it never recovered. DeFi had a boom because it was a time when what those stimmy checks going on. Y'all remember when they were sending them stimmy checks?
Yeah.
So right after they sent the stimmy checks, the economy got activated. People was having so much money. The stock market went on a crazy run. Man,
Flowers.
I was making money. It was insane. You just making from just doing nothing was just making money during the stimmy checks. But then when that got lit, crypto and DeFi got lit. But DeFi was brand new. Crypto been around, but DeFi at that time was literally just came out. It was in its infancy, and it was money to be made. And greed took over, man, and I started to take a major loss. And after losing a lot of money in DeFi, I had to have that hard conversation with myself as an investor. And I said, why did I lose? And I didn't lose because I did not know what I was doing. I lost because of one thing and one thing only, greed. Absolutely.
Wow.
That's real.
One thing only was greed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter the asset. It doesn't matter. Like greed comes in all shapes and sizes,
Like they say, who you are anywhere is who you are everywhere. Because that's why I'm very intrigued just on, I know you're saying that things didn't work out, but I look more so at who you became and the person that becomes. So can we go to where you are now?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of the backstory that fed into that, but how did you transition that from the greed, the the losses, and turning that into lessons that now you have an amazing 7-figure business?
So what came of that now was everything. It wasn't just of one thing. It was accumulation of literally my whole life to get to this point. From that standpoint. And I say this to everyone, and I want y'all to think about something. And I'm gonna answer your question, but I'm gonna just drive this way a little bit. No one learns nothing from success. You don't learn one thing. You don't believe me, do you?
No, I'm waiting.
I'm gonna prove it to you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I'm gonna prove it to you, then I'm gonna tell you. I want everyone to think about a car race, like NASCAR. Going around the track, Indy 500. When you're successful, and you think comparing it to a car race too, just to help it to bring the picture home a little bit better. When a car is winning and they're driving and they win the race, they're number one, they win this race again. They go back as a winner, hey, take their trophy, take their winnings. It's nothing to discuss.
Yeah, nothing was wrong.
We're going to go do the next thing again and win.
Yeah.
They keep winning, because winning, success. They're successful. They keep winning.
For the adjustments.
The moment they lose a race,
Yeah.
they come back as a team.
Yeah. Go back to the drawing board.
We need to figure out what went wrong.
Right.
Why are we losing now?
Yeah.
And then they start taking everything they learned. And I started to think about that. Because in every point in my life when I was successful, because you got to understand, before I got here, there were small successes.
Yeah.
That accumulated, but I wasn't learning anything. And what I started doing was I started shifting and literally learning from what the name of the show is. It took the losses. It took those. Remember I told you my wife had a stack of business cards of all those companies and all those businesses that I started, and that's not a joke. It took all of them failing.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
How was that, man? Like dealing with,
a spouse.
Yeah, having a wife, always having different ideas. Because I could admit to being one of those serial entrepreneurs, always having an idea, and every idea you come into the table with, just the person you are, you giving it your all, And when it doesn't work out, how do you rebound from that?
See,
and having a wife.
I want everyone to know, with a wife or with a family or with a girlfriend or with anybody, a child, and they're a burgeoning entrepreneur, you're gonna come speak to that person, and when you first start your first one, they're gonna root you. Oh, there you go, baby. Go, there you go. That second one, oh, you got it. That third one, you doing this again?
Yeah.
About that fifth or sixth one, they're gonna be looking at you like this.
Yeah.
You know, so it don't. What I'm saying is, it don't really matter whether it's your spouse or anyone is. When you're coming back and on your road to what you're trying to do, it is your road, and they're not going to understand it as they shouldn't, because it takes a lot to do anything. Yeah. To become anything that you want to become, it takes a lot to sort of get there. So, and some people get lucky, and I think this is the time to bring this in. Some people will start a business and they'll see quick success. And you know what? That's not even good all that time.
Yeah.
No.
Because sometimes success can come fast and it can come so quick, and you don't really know what you're doing. You don't even know how you got it.
Yeah.
So you don't even know how to duplicate it. You don't know how to sustain it.
Right.
Yeah, you got some whatever. I don't know, whatever y'all believe. You got lucky, or whatever term that you want to believe. Blessed, lucky, whatever happened. See, even when there's not no lesson or nothing fails, it's even hard when it comes too quick, because. And this is one day I was in my studio. I had a home studio, and this is so now mind you, I wasn't successful in entrepreneur, but this was the first really big success. And I was in over there. I said, man, I'm gonna start a magazine. I was sitting in my home studio, in my apartment, and I said, man, and I was looking about, because this one, the Source and XXL was all popping. You know what I'm saying? I was still kind of doing music, and I saw a voice. So I landed the opportunity. I saw what was sort of going on. I said, I'm gonna start this magazine, but I'm not gonna target people with deals, famous people. I said, because there are more unsigned artists than there are signed artists. So I started this magazine called The Unsigned Review in my apartment. Everybody out there that remember The Unsigned Review, because it's just in case.
That was me.
Yeah. So, and the reason why I tell you this story, I started The Unsigned Review, and it was based on this one concept. It was, man, I say, man, there's way more pool of unsigned artists than there's signed artists. And I said, man, I'm gonna go to unsigned artists. This is back in the day. I'm gonna go to unsigned artists, and I'm gonna put their magazine out in all these different events. I mean, in about 4 different states that I had a little connection with, and I'm gonna have them pay me to be in it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my connections, and I'm gonna still interview signed artists. So, I don't know if y'all remember Ninth Wonder.
Oh yeah,
Ninth Wonder was in town. I had Ninth Wonder come in. It was an R&B singer, Victor Play. It was man, I got to go back in this magazine. It was so many people. And
just the exposure to the expansion.
So what happened was, so what happened was, when I put this magazine out there to unsigned artists, it was instantly successful. I had CDs coming over from all over the country, people paying.
Yo, they was ready.
Yeah.
It was ungodly successful. Like it was scary. Where it was just money flying in. I'm at this. I started calling up homeboys. Hey man, you work for the Unsigned Review now. I need you to go interview Ninth Wonder. So I got my partners working with Ninth Wonder. I need you to be backstage. I got my mom. I literally had my mom in it. Man, I had
everybody. Yeah.
Everybody. I'm backstage. I don't think y'all understand me. It went from an idea in a home studio, and I'm one of the ones that get activated, to me getting on board, something I just created, launching it, and then instantly checks start coming. Money came so fast, I got scared. I got scared because I was still trying to build the business. So, to be honest, the distribution model wasn't even. I knew I had plans, but I was still working these deals out. I got so scared, and it became so successful so fast. I was in every award. I met a dude I was running with the other day, and I was going back. I was like, yeah, man, it was this magazine in Atlanta called The Unsigned Review. He was like, yo, I remember that Unsigned Review, because how I got lit was, I was like, yo, how do I get people to know my magazine out of nowhere? I was going around every club in Atlanta, I created this. Y'all remember when they used to flyer your car and all this other
Oh
stuff?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Y'all got to go back, like
Yeah.
back when.
Oh, I got flyers
people.
the other day.
I know you get flyer there, baby. They don't really mean nothing.
Yeah, but back
then it was
meant
everything.
something.
when
Yeah.
Buckhead was Buckhead.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
because you had no
Yeah.
social media. To
You had
say
none of that.
was
You had no
going
social media.
Yeah.
I think MySpace might have been the only thing popping,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a weird maybe. Because
Black
it might,
Panther.
it might have been the
Yeah.
Black Panther days. So I created this flyer, and my flyer glue in the dark because I'm always trying to think to be different. So I would
that's
go to
smart.
every single club that I'm rapping in, performing. I put my flyer, so my flyer is going while everybody else flyer is not.
Oh, that's dope.
So I swear to you, I ran people like, y'all remember that? You the one with the digital flyer? I was like, yeah, man. 'Cause I would just go to club everywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't put them on cards. I'm in every single club because I just wanted you to know the name. It took off. I got so scared because I had another business that took off before that. I was kind of going to tell the story way back in the day that I shut the business down. I put out one edition and closed the doors.
Wow.
Because I didn't want lawsuits to come. I didn't want, like I was telling you, see, sometimes fast success ain't good for you.
Yeah. Especially if you don't have the infrastructure.
I didn't have none of that. I didn't have the infrastructure. It wasn't a money thing. I want to be clear. I could have ran the bag up, as they would say, to whatever number I wanted to, but it was too fast.
I think that's the difference between, like you talked about, hustling entrepreneurship, but the difference between even being a business owner is having those systems to support and sustain the success.
Yeah. And when you was asking the question on venture, I kind of segue into a different story. Venture's a different beast because I was talking on the way over here. I was having a conversation with a guy in Dubai, and we were doing I'm gonna leave the athlete name out. He's one of the biggest athletes in the world over here. Literally having a conversation with right before I have a meeting over in Dubai, and it was a venture deal. And the problem with venture in these spaces is when you're a startup or you got something you kick. I tell this to everybody comes to you with this. They got the next great thing. This is the next big business. I got such and such on board. We finna do this. We're gonna, and they use their favorite word. This is gonna be $1 billion business. But they don't know that everybody that comes with their pitch says everything that they just said.
Yeah.
So venture's a little different because venture is very risky. It's high risk, high rewards. That's how venture angel investors or venture investors play the game. When you build in small businesses or a business investment, you're playing the game to kind of scale like out internally. So you take your business and then you slowly scale it. So if you just had a clothing store, maybe you start at one location, then maybe you add another one through success, or maybe you add online. Venture is this, you're not looking at that scale because you can literally raise an evaluation off an idea or off of just because somebody gave you $1 billion, you're now worth $4 billion. And the company could have nothing, literally no product, but they can have an evaluation that we call inflated. And it be inflated to a real, and then when something happens, that $1 billion company, which we've seen over and over again, is now worth pennies.
Right.
So venture, I love it. I do really love it, and I like it because you get to, people are more passionate about venture than they are about their own business because I have no idea to give it a reason why. You meet some very intelligent people. You can create some very good opportunities, but it's highly risky.
I want to ask you a question before we let you go, man, because you have a unique story, and as I listen to your story, is just one thing that I haven't heard, but I think is important for our viewers to hear this, because on your path to success, being a serial entrepreneur, having different success in different areas, there were relationships that you've developed from your lessons, your losses, from the music industry, getting into the sports industry. I know there's a lot of exchange, a lot of leveraging relationships, a lot of developing relationships that help you along the way as well. Can you talk a little bit about that, how your track record and just maneuvering through your relationships helped you towards your level of success?
That's one of the best questions I've been asked because that is the key to my success personally.
Yeah.
At first, and I'm going to answer it. I'm definitely going to answer that question. It's a great question. And that's how I built my business, how I created my wealth, is how I created everything now, and it's through relationships.
Yeah.
When I first, my first, let's call it what we call real money. And
not the $1,000.
not $1,000.
Look, not the.
And I touch on this. I don't tell the story in my book, but I tell the principle.
Grind from the inside
Grind
out.
from the inside out.
Yeah.
I tell the principle in this book. My first, let's call it when I got to real money. And that's subjective to the person.
Right.
When I say that I started a franchise consulting and development firm, and I'm definitely gonna get to. I know I got sharp Remy. I'm not gonna.
I got you. I got you.
Question. But I want people to understand this component, to understand the power of relationships, but they also have to understand the power of growth and the power of wealth.
Ooh, power of growth.
So I was sitting around Atlanta. I was trying to figure out how to make my franchise consulting company. It was consulting development company. It was doing all right, but we didn't really hit major numbers. So I came up with this idea, the relationships. I said, I called it, I never forget, my business partner, he's my business partner this day on the entertainment side. He remembered it. I called him on one this day because I was writing in notepads, because I'm used to writing raps in notepads, back in the day. So I was writing notes down in my office in Tucker. And I said, I got this new strategy. It's called Operation Takeover Atlanta. And he said, what that mean? I said, man, we know people that had these studios and sets. I knew people that had studios and different sets. And they would barter with me to allow me to come in their studio and I would host an event. So I know this is finna sound crazy because y'all know about EYL. Y'all know about this. Earn Your Leisure, if you don't know what that is. Highly successful now. But this is before them. This is before they existed.
Yeah.
I called Operation Takeover Atlanta. I said, I was sitting around in my office in Tucker and I said, I was looking at this stat that saw that minorities own 5% of franchises, but we own barbershops, we own clothing stores, but we don't own franchises. Then I took that step a little further. That stat a little further. I dug into that stat. Then I learned that 2% of minorities were Black-owned franchises. Then I learned that even less than that were women. So I said, I named the code. You know how like CIA be coding things? Operation Takeover Atlanta. And this was around simple principles. I said, man, I'm going to do these. I'm going to use my relationships to have these nice little venues. And I ain't even afraid to tell you this price. One film studio, they're doing really well now. They had on this big old set. And she was like, for you, because I know you, and we were doing some other things with music and film. She was like, oh, I'll give you this for $25. She let me rent the whole place $20. That was just off some love. I'll give you $25. You can come up, do whatever you want to do. And when I built this deal, and I came out, and I would go to Little Caesars and buy these $5 pieces, and I would go to Eventbrite. This is before Earn Your Leisure and all these other stuff. And I said, man, I'm going to educate Black people and women on how to buy a franchise, and it's going to be free. So I'm going to do this whole free seminar, and I'm going to go around Atlanta teaching women and Black people how to buy franchises, and I'm going to give them free food, these $5 pieces and some free drinks. And listen, this is the key. I'm not going to sell them nothing. All I'm going to do is educate them. And in the end, I had this running joke where I would, run my whole little spiel, and then I would tell them, contact DeShawn, call DeShawn, send the bird to DeShawn. I don't remember, I was just telling, and I never asked for nobody's sale, never asked for nobody's business. And I would just end, after I finished speaking, I would just end and I would just wait. And you know what happened when I was doing that? People would come up to me and say, hey, I didn't know that. They were like, do you have a, and then they would turn, they would offer me their card. They were like, well, I'm interested in buying this and doing that. I started scheduling meetings. Then I paid $25 through the relationship to get that venue. Yeah. Paid for a little food. It was nothing. Put together a PowerPoint and was teaching a seminar. And people where I never asked for their business, they were coming up to me asking for things. What happened? I started doing that. Knew somebody else. I started putting it on every. I think I was doing it 2 times a week. My wife done. I was doing this, putting it on, and people started to come. Somebody else I knew would say that, hey, man, you should come over here and do that, what you're doing, that teaching over here. They got me in with the SBA. Next thing I know, Score in the SBA said, hey, I want you to come down here. I had my wife and children come. I want you to come and speak to 70, 60 entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? I would come do my same gig through relationship. Yeah. So this is why I wanted to tell you what was powerful that kind of set me off. Didn't have a 7-figure business, but this is, I'm going to a nice little success story. I started to run that play to where, because I was doing consultative-based selling, so that's a long sale process. I was running that play, educating people, truly giving them real education and things that they didn't just typically get from the internet. And one day I was running the event, and I had a rule to myself. I said it didn't matter if I was doing this in front of 70 people, but if one person signed up, I was doing the event. So one day, with the people that let me rent the studio for $25, it was a real slow day. I had like 5 people sign up. And then you know how you be looking at your sign list and you see the cancels? And I just started dwindling the canceling till it was just one lady there, Nicole Smith. And I said, man, I'm not finna do this. I'm not going out there to go do this $25, you know what I'm saying? And it goes talk to one person. And right when I was about to do it, I said, but you got to remember your rule. You said if one person shows up, you can go out there and go do it. Check this out, though, y'all.
No matter what.
Check this out.
Who you needed.
I do that. I gave her everything that, like I was speaking in school in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
I gave her everything I had in that one lady. That one lady she was the first Black woman during this time to put a spa franchise in the new building, what they call Atlantic Station now. It was the first one. We put multiple franchise locations around there. I had made off of her in 1 month, I had made $60,000 off of her. I had another close come in. I made like another 40 in that same month. It was the first time I made over $100,000 in 1 month. And it all started from Operation Takeover Atlanta, from taking resources that I knew, because I didn't have nowhere to do my you know, where I would the seminar. Right. So I called people I knew, went in there, stayed consistent with it, and it took time. And then doing that, having my first over $100,000 month in that business, it snowballed. I ended up having the greatest year of my life that year. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it started from people that I knew and then being consistent. Yeah. And it was crazy because the big one came from the one I was gonna cancel.
Oh yeah.
Wow. We do an event twice a month, Wealth Partners.
Yeah.
And that's just showing up consistently, educating.
It's important. Yeah. That's important.
So you got other brothers out here doing what you was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I want
to hit him with the.
I want to ask one. Like I had to really. I read his book. So guys, the book is really powerful, right?
And the book is Grind from the Inside Out.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Grind from the Inside Out, available on Amazon.
Right. So I had to love this quote from the book. It says, "We miss opportunities, breakthroughs, and blessings because we don't like or recognize the package they come in."
Yeah.
That was so powerful to me, because even you talking about that package of one person, right? You would have missed that opportunity or that blessing because the package didn't look right.
That's absolutely
There's so many people out there that say, "Oh, I'm not going to do this because it doesn't look right."
Correct.
And that's one thing I've learned. Like, so that it's a great book. So I do want you to tell people where they can get the book from. Like, I was texting them. I was like, "Oh, this is great." I'm like, "Oh, this is great." So he calls these DeShawnisms, right? Yeah. So he has a lot of wisdom in that book, right? Especially for somebody who's coming up, wants to be an entrepreneur. So tell people where they can get the book from.
So you can get the book at either grindfromtheinsideout.com. That's the original release, or you can go to Amazon and type in DeShawn Marks, M-A-R-K-S, or Grind from the Inside Out, and you can get it from Amazon. And that's a great point. And it's a book around principles. You know, what I was trying to accomplish, what I wanted to write is, there's a lot of great books out there, a lot of great authors, a lot of great successful people, to whatever y'all want to deem success. But when I first started reading, there were books. I remember I read Napoleon Hill, Laws of Success. If y'all have seen that book, I read the original one. It's like a dictionary. It took me a year to read it. It's the first real book I ever read. And I remember finishing that book after 1 year. And I remember saying to myself, and at the time I was reading it, it was like the best book in the world. I was like, this is the best book I ever read in my life. And after a year later, I remember saying to myself, I don't remember nothing I read in that book. Because, and sometimes it was intimidating because the book was so big. And I said, man, if I'm gonna write a book, it's funny because Dre said DeShawnisms. I have a business partner named Lonnie Jackson, and he's known me since we were rapping together, over 20 years. And he bugged me for 8 years to write a book. And I was like, man, I ain't writing no book. And he was like, bro, you always talking about these DeShawn-isms, man, and all these other stuff. He was like, man, but I be writing them down.
Yeah.
I be like, man, I'm just making that stuff up off my head. You're not making it up, but it would just be things that I just said over my life. And he was like, so for 8 years, this man bugged me to write a book. And when COVID happened, what was we doing? What was I doing? It was the first time in my life I was ever stationary in my house.
That's what everything happens for a reason.
Ever sit.
Everything happens.
And I started the book, but when COVID happened, I finished it. I was just, just writing away because I had nothing else to do. It was COVID. We were shut down. And it started from that. And I want to highlight that statement because that, the example I got to even think about it. That was great. With the you don't like it. Most people miss blessings because they don't like the package they come in. And I am a person who do believe in goals. But what I want to also tell your audience as well, as I gave you the example, and I could have missed that Nicole and could have missed having the greatest year I had at that time in that business,
right?
Or having those strong months. I also want y'all to take it a little bit further too, because sometimes we are so determined, especially nowadays. Everybody's woke, everybody's meditating, everybody's reading, everybody's on YouTube because we're in the information. We in the moment now to where you can just go to your phone and Google whatever you want to know,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So there's so much great information out there. And what happens is you people are smart. You'll have these goals and you'll have this plan and you'll write it out. And then the moment something don't go the way that you wrote it out in your plan,
scrap.
You off kilter. So you have an opportunity, a blessing that it comes looking a little crazy. It comes looking like a woman who I don't know that we finna go make history in Atlantic Station. She closed. We didn't make it out, but we ended up doing
it's who you get to become.
Absolutely.
It's who you get to become.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. But we did make history, but it comes from, if I wasn't saying that, I got now, because y'all got to remember, now I'm speaking for SCORE and SBAs and all this other stuff, these large crowds now. And I started to kind of feel myself like one person. And if I didn't like that package of that lady sitting in there to give that, I would have missed a huge opportunity to go make history in Atlanta, in Atlantic Station, and make some great commission. And I say that also within goals. It's great to have goals. I write about them. Have them. But have some leeway and don't always structure that this has to happen for me. If I don't get this raised this way in this job, but you got an opportunity in your job to go over here to get this, you don't know that's connecting you over here because it didn't come the way that you designed it for your life. And we're so woke now, we're designing too many things for our life.
There's an old saying, those who are stuck and staying stiff, they become disciples of death. Those who remain flexible and willing to bend, they become disciples of life.
Damn, look at wisdom, Dre.
Dre.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's hip-hop Dre. Sometimes
Dre, give it to you.
Look at wisdom, Dre, right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, listen, how can people get in touch with you, man? Because this was, like, I would keep going because we love these kind of talks, right?
Yeah. So, my world's intertwined into a few things. I mean, you could definitely, find me online. I'm in sports entertainment venture, is what he said, in a bunch of different areas. We got a lot of different projects coming out, but there's ways to find me online at Instagram, LinkedIn, DeShawn Marks, I think, on LinkedIn.
DESHAWN Marks.
Yes, and then on Instagram is DeShawn_grind. Because, I am Mr. Grind from the inside out. So.
Grind from the inside out.
Yeah, I changed my whole handle. It was like, man, I'm putting grind in my name, man. I'm DeShawn Grind now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can see just from the stories that you've been telling from different parts of your life, like it literally is something that's within you. You just had to refine it over the years.
Absolutely.
So to something that can expand.
Absolutely.
Man, that's great.
That's powerful.
That's great. So I did want to ask one thing before you go about taking the L, right? So, in life, we got to make hard choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're difficult. So we have a game that we play called Take the L. Like, you have a choice to make this choice or that choice, but if you can't make the choice, you got to take the L. So let's give you a scenario where you have the level of success you have right now, right? You have your relationships, you have your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or losing the relationships that you have and your family dynamic, but your entrepreneur investment goes 10x. Like, you go to 100 million or billionaire status. Which one would you choose? And if you can't make a choice, then you should take the L.
Oh no, it's an easy choice for me. I'm rocking with my family. Is because and for a multitude of different reasons, but for one main one, as you start to climb, and this is relative to any person to any level, as you to climb the ladder of success, whether you're gonna get a promotion and you're making more in anything, as you start to climb that ladder, you know, you start to see, you start to get some of the things that you want,
Right.
that you know that you don't really need, that you start to desire. But as you keep going, you start to find out that you run out of things to buy. And the only thing that matters is that's sustainable are the people that are sort of with you on that journey. You know, there's always a saying that, you know, you're born into a family. You don't choose them, right? It chooses you. But you choose a spouse. You know, some of y'all choose to have children.
Right.
Both of my children was just happened. And I'm thankful for them.
I met
You
your
know,
kids.
don't get it twisted.
Yeah, wonderful kids.
They just happened. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. But what I'm saying is, at every level, kind of like when we started this off, and I was joking, you know, about, oh dang man, I put a lot of stress on my wife, my not even just my wife, my family, because of the decisions and the sacrifices that I had to make from that standpoint. You start to learn that it becomes way more enjoyable with people that you truly love, because things triply do become things. People who don't have money, they want a lot of other things, and then once you get on the other side of that, it normalizes, like everything else. And for those who don't know what that means, go make $1,000 a week and then get a promotion and make $1,500 a week. It feels good. That will normalize.
Yes, you're right.
There's no difference from making $100,000 to $100,000 a month. It will normalize. You know, but the choice of of having a family and have people that you can kind of grow together and really grow into some real love, that's priceless.
It's priceless.
Yeah.
It's the things that me and Jess always says.
Priceless.
It's the things that money can't buy.
Correct. Which is absolutely priceless. You've said that in the gym. It's absolutely priceless. So now I'm gonna take the family.
I was like, that was an easy one. We
that
gotta
was
get
an easy
some more
one.
complex.
Yeah, we gotta get something hard.
Yeah, that was too easy.
Over
That was too easy.
because money fades, inflation will happen, and next thing you know, you gave it all up for what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So are you entrepreneurs out there to try to build a business for your family and end up losing your family for the business? Don't do it.
Not worth it.
This is too much wisdom here.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Lessons Not Losses, Never Take the L. And I've been your co-host, Jessica Myers, with the amazing
Dre Parker.
And Hakeem Herring, your real estate partner.
And today we had joining us Mr. DeShawn Marks. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
As always, you know, you got it. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.